Hi everyone, this is Heather Turner. I was the Chief Pathways Guide for District 53 and maybe Chief Bottle Washer, if you want to put it like that. And I had a couple of thoughts that I wanted to share with Toastmasters in our district that might help some people that are having trouble kind of getting into Pathways. I know there's still concern from people that they're having issues with it. It is not the most user-friendly program for people that don't use a computer all the time. And we do have people that don't have computers or have other issues getting online, period, and just don't want to deal with the interface. So this is kind of a quick workaround. It's not perfect, but I think it will let some people that want to experience Pathways but don't necessarily want to deal with the majority of the back end of Basecamp kind of go through and experience Pathways, because it truly is a superior educational program from the old legacy program. Now I'm going to kind of start from scratch because a lot of people are asking, how do we start from scratch? So I'll go through this pretty quickly. When you're helping a member or new member, and we do still have a lot of regular members that have never logged in to Club Central on Toastmasters International. So when you go to Toastmasters, toastmasters.org, you're going to go up here to log in. And I happen to have my information saved, so I'm just going to log in. And I do want to review a couple of things too as we go through this, because it's important and I have been still getting a lot of questions about it. So when you're in, there's a whole bunch of things. If you click on your welcome name up here concerning your club, and a lot of information that you may not know exists, and also in here that is not available to the public. But for the standpoint of where we're going with this one today, we're going to click on Pathways. Now, if you have not yet chosen a path, you're going to click on Pathways and then go to obviously choose a path. But that's not necessarily as easy for some people as it is for others. So I wanted to clarify that. Now, this is what my backend looks like. And if you only belong to one club, you're only going to see one club here. If you belong to multiple clubs, which I do, you're going to see a drop down. If you are the VPE, the secretary, or the president, you're also going to see this, log in as a Basecamp manager. And this is important because not everybody is going to see this, only those 3 people. So I'm the VP of several of my clubs, so I have that option. Now, when you have a new member or a current member that wants to dive into Pathways, do this for the first time, you're going to see this, choose your path. As the VPE, you're going to see this option for yourself or another member. If you're just a member that is not an officer, you're only going to see pick this. So just keep that in mind. This is because I have the VPE view right here. But in both instances, you're going to continue to path selection. Now, with a copy of this recording, I'm going to send a Pathways resource doc, and I'm also going to send the link to District 4, which I think still has probably the most compact and most informational overview of what is contained within each path. Now, I've signed up for a path already. Once you've signed up for your first free path, whether you are a new member or an existing member, that's included. When you pay for a second path, you're going to see we want you to give them another $20, which is realistically actually a really good deal, because with the old advanced manuals from Legacy, the advanced manuals were actually more expensive, because one path, I would say, probably contains at least 5 advanced manuals in it. So it's actually a better deal. Now, if you log in and you see this right away, that it's asking you to pay another $20, it means you have already picked your path, so don't panic. I'll get to that in a minute. If you have not yet picked a path, you're going to go through Take Your Assessment, and I'm not going to walk through all those separate things because you can experience that for yourself. Just a note, if you have not yet taken the assessment, you can go back and take the assessment as many times as you want. It's going to give you a couple of suggested paths. You do not have to pick one of those. You have the option of picking any path that you want. And if you scroll down on that last tab that you get to on the assessment, it's going to give you all of the other options. Now, once you've picked a path, you'll go back into Pathways again, and then you're going to go to Basecamp. And if you have picked a path already, it's going to show you this, and it's going to show you the tab that says Go to Basecamp. So sort of like Monopoly, go directly to Go, or past Go, perhaps it is. So I'm going to go into Basecamp. And this is the very first screen that everybody is going to see. And if you scroll down a bit, you're going to see the path that you picked in here. If you log into Basecamp and you don't see anything here right away, and you've just signed up for a path, sometimes it takes 24 to maybe 48 hours, if you signed up on a weekend, for the path to show up. But you can always double check to see whether you've picked, because if you go back to the assessment and it's asking you to pay another $20, you have picked your path, and you should have received an email from Toastmasters International telling you you picked it. If you don't get an email from them, I would suggest looking in your spam folder, and if you still haven't received it, call Toastmasters International directly and ask. They are more than happy to help you with whatever you need. Now, for the benefit of anybody that's going to be helping a new member or existing member out with a path, we're still going to need to log into Basecamp. So I would recommend having the VPE come and sit with the new member, which they should be doing anyway as a part of going over the educational system, similar to sitting down with the old Competent Communicator paper manual, where hopefully BPEs are spending a few minutes getting a new member familiarized with the program itself. You would sit down and say, look, this is Basecamp. You have the option of using the online aspect of it, or using the paper aspect of it, or using a combination of the two. We really encourage people to use the online version of it, but we understand if you actually want to print out a copy of what you're doing and have it physically in your hands. That is very understandable. Toastmasters actually added full versions of every project in every single path into the online Basecamp version back in January. So people have the alternative of actually paying an additional money to have the printed version sent to them, or they can actually download the full version of the project from Basecamp itself. So this is where I would recommend either a new member or an existing member that wants to get into this, sit down for a couple of minutes, or maybe online if they can screen share, and show people how to do this. Just show them how to walk them through this, because they will need a little bit of assistance, especially the first time they do it. So in this particular case, I'm going to go into one of my paths, which is motivational strategies. And in motivational strategies, I'm on level 3. Once you have completed a project, though, you can still go back into the project itself. So for the basis of this demonstration, I'm going to show you the icebreaker. And when I go to launch, it's going to open a pop-up window. Sometimes this pop-up window ends up behind the main window. And I'm just going to show you what it looks like, because a lot of people get stuck on this. When you hit launch, they don't realize that this window is hidden by the window in the back. It doesn't always pop up in the front. Now, I've already gone through this particular project, so it's ending me at the last screen. One thing to remember is these screens can be resized, and this is where a lot of people are getting stuck. So I'm just going to resize it here. You can click on the corners. And down here is a selection that goes to every single tab that you need to go through. But the member does not need to do that. But for the basis of showing this, I wanted to show you where to go. And I'll show you where people are getting stuck. When this pop-up window opens, they click and they think, click here, but it doesn't let them click on anything. When you open this tab up a bit, you can see arrows. When you open it up a little bit more, then you see the arrows. And people don't realize this because they're trying to click on this. I sat with a member last week who literally spent about 2 minutes trying to click on these, not knowing that if it opened it up a little bit more, they could scroll back and forth through these tabs. Now, encourage the member to go through tab by tab. You are going to run into people that just do not want to deal with it, and quite frankly, that is okay. They do need to do 2 things. One, when they've started this project, and whoever's helping with them needs to tell them, you have to do this in order to get credit for the project. You need to assess your skills before and assess your skills after. So the first step before you do anything else is make them go through the assess your skills before. This takes literally about 10 seconds for them to go through. If they read a little bit slower, it might take, oh gosh, half a minute, but it's not time consuming. Once that's done, go down to here and go to your evaluation. And in every project I've looked at, it's all in the same place. You're going to come to evaluation resources. You're going to come to this. In every project, there's going to be different selections, but you're going to see this, print my project. In some projects, it's going to say print my full project, but it will always say print my project. This is what has been added that is the entire version of the path. So people do now have the option of hitting print my project, and the whole entire project shows up. So everything that they would walk through tab by tab by tab, they now have the ability to just save on their computer and print off, for example, the speech project portion of it and the evaluation portion, which they will need, or they can print off the whole thing if they just want to sit down and physically not read it on the computer. So that is their option to do that. On some modules, there are mini videos. They have done some of the quizzes in the print versions, but in some modules, if you've done these before, I would recommend sitting with that member for a couple of extra minutes if you can get them to spare the time, because in evaluation and feedback, for example, there is one video that shows people doing evaluations, how to do a good evaluation, how to do a not so great evaluation, that can be very helpful for a member to actually view. If they don't want to, don't stress it. Most of the material, or actually all of the material in the tabs are in that print PDF. But if they can spend a couple of minutes, if you sit with them, watch the video with them together, from a VPE standpoint or a member standpoint, helping that member, it's actually a great way to actually talk about what did you learn from this and have a little bit more interaction. Now, the other thing that they're going to need to do, and again, remember that tab just flew away from me, it's hidden down here. In order to complete that project, and this is actually a really good thing from a VPE standpoint, especially if you have a member of multiple clubs, or perhaps your VPE or whoever is helping them with this has missed a couple of meetings. This actually makes it double sure that you know that this person actually finished this project, because you're going to sit with them for a minute and then you're going to assess your skills afterwards. So in this particular case, I already did this, but it's going to walk them through that 4 or 5 questions assessing before and after. They have to do this. So whether they do it when you're sitting with them or they do it on their own, and I think once they get used to the fact that, okay, I just have to click here, I can download my project, and then I just have to click in here to assess it again, it will not mark as complete until those things are done. Now I'm going to go into evaluation and feedback just to show you one more. In evaluation and feedback, and in some of the other projects, there are multiple projects within that one project itself. Now I left at that last screen, and this one, your evaluation, again, it's going to be in here. So your evaluation, which is almost the last tab, and in here, print my project. So for the second project in here, evaluation and feedback, you're going to have 2 speeches. And this is going to include information about doing both speeches, the evaluation forms, and then the third project of the module, which is to give an evaluation and then get evaluated on that. All of that material is now in here. So again, if someone does not want to go through all the tabs, if somebody's getting stuck on this, you do have the ability to have them have this in printed version without having to order the full version of it from Toastmasters International. It is missing the videos. Again, I do stress, try to get people to watch those if they can, but this is realistically all of the information they need to go through the whole project for the module itself. Again, they just need to finish the assess my skills before and the assess my skills after in order to finish those projects. But I really hope that this will make it easier for people that don't want to use the online system. I do understand the frustration that people have with this. Hopefully this will make this a little bit easier. I do want to dissuade VPEs from just going in and printing these things off for the members though. This defeats the whole purpose of getting them to try to use the online version if they can. We do understand people get frustrated with this, but please don't use this as a bypass. This is a way to keep those people that just don't want to dive into pathways because they feel it's too complicated, or especially to get a member from leaving because they're having too many issues with it. So I hope that was a little bit helpful for people. If you do need pathways help, people always know where to find me. I am more than happy to help for as long as I can. I hope everybody gets into pathways. I am really enjoying the program very, very much so. And I know they're putting in many improvements. They have the new humor path, which I'm looking forward to diving into at some point soon when I finish my couple of current paths. Again, please let me know if you need help. And I hope everybody that's viewing this got a little bit out of it. Thank you very much.